So I want to introduce Joedy Cook. If anybody doesn't know who Joedy Cook is, does anybody not know who Joedy Cook is? Everybody knows who Joedy Cook is. He's the head of the NADP, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's been on my show. He's a good arguer. So without further ado, Joedy Cook with the NADP.
How you guys doing?
Great.
All right, I want to give you just a brief about the NADP before we get into the really good stuff, okay? The North American Dogman project started back in 2006. We've grown to where we have right now 5 regions. What's that? Okay. We now have like 5 regions. We have 700 members worldwide. We get reports from all over the world. Like I said, from India, UK, South America. We get reports from these people. We even have chapters. Okay. We have chapters from each one of these countries. So I just want to give you guys an idea. Check out our website, www.NorthAmericanDogmanProject.com. We got some really good information on there. Now, the first investigation I'm talking about was about 10 miles south of the Skinwalker Ranch area, okay? Now, this is a drawing here from a little girl that was looking out her back window because she heard her horses go really wild, and she saw this large wolf doing what she described a army man's crawl along the area there. So what this thing did was attack these horses, and you can see where this one was attacked in the front. You can see 5 claw marks right here going across the chest. Now, most people who know horses, they will defend. Most predators always attack from the behind. You attack a horse from the front, you're liable to get killed. So this is one of the, right here, you can see the mark there. You can see how it's swollen from the infection. This is a bite mark that came off the side here. So at this particular residence, there's 5 areas, okay, that has houses there. So they know there was a Bigfoot in the area. They've seen the Bigfoot before. It's never bothered anybody, never bothered livestock or anything like that. And then all of a sudden, animals start coming up missing. They start coming up being attacked, and they start hearing howling at night. So they start seeing a very large canine. And one night they're out and they're hearing a lot of screaming and yelling in the woods, and they know one is probably the Bigfoot and the other one's probably the Dogman. And the night after, they never seen the Bigfoot again in that area. So they believe this Dogman actually killed the Bigfoot that was there. Now right here is a small fawn. What happened here was the lady who had the house that was attacked by the Dogman, the alleged Dogman, ended up killing a fawn and put the fawn in her yard. So she takes the fawn, she went to put it on the ground, down the hill, went and got a shovel to come back to bury it. The fawn's gone. So she puts the shovel back. When she's putting the shovel back, the fawn's back.
What?
Yeah, so this Dogman was basically playing with her with this fawn. So this is her house. You can see the markings on the window where she was sitting, and this thing came in up on the porch and basically put his palm on the porch and was looking at her. And this is one of the tracks that she found that was leading up there. Now what's kind of unique about this track, if you look right here, it looks like it has an opposable finger. You can see it in the image here, which is quite different from most canine tracks. And we notice on this particular track that we have here, it's basically the same thing. Now this is a neighbor's. She's looking in her backyard. She sees a large dog in this little part of the woods that leads up to her backyard. So she takes a picture so you can see You can see the ears, the eyes, the mouth is open, you can see the tongue, there's the arm, here's another right here. You can see where it looks like it's panting because of the heat. So we did this to sit there and show you have the ears, the eyes, the tongue, and the arm. So you got a really good shot of what and this is one of the neighbor's house that's in the area where all this stuff is taking place. The Akron, Ohio investigation. Now, some of the pictures I'm going to show you are very disturbing, okay? There was a guy that raised dogs. He had German Shepherds. He had 8 males, 7 females. He was out in the woods walking with his daughter in the area that he lives. He saw a large canine that was watching him and his daughter. He ends up going back to the house, puts his daughter in the house, goes over to where his dogs are. The dogs were going crazy. He was standing there seeing if he can see anything, and he noticed the canine was just standing watching him and his dogs. Now, he described this canine as, he said, if you ever seen the movie The Hound, that was the best way to describe what this thing looked like. It was tall, it was thin, it was mangy looking. So, in the course of 7 days, this thing came in and killed 7 of the 8 male dogs. I was in Iraq, and I've seen some very horrible things there. What this thing did to these dogs, I've never seen in my life. It literally took the head off of 2 of them. It basically took the hides from the back of the tails going all the way up to the head, disemboweled these animals. The picture I'm going to show you is the one survivor, which ended up dying from infections about 3 days later. So like I said, they're very graphic. I'm not showing you the graphic pictures of the ones that were killed. This was a survivor. This was the head bite. You can see the ear, where it hit part of the ear. You can see where it tried to defend itself with the bite marks on the legs, the front arm. Continued to attack the bite on the head. This was the first one with the arms. You can see where they were wiping the blood. Now this is the x-ray of one of the male German Shepherds. You can see the trauma in the neck right here. This all is the trauma area where it went down and bit on the neck. So what happened was he calls me after we were up there doing an investigation. We took a lot of video, a lot of pictures of what happened to the dogs. He goes, the SPCA just came about 3 days ago and confiscated my dogs, the females. And I have no idea why they did this, but when I called them to say, where are my dogs? I'd like to get my dogs back, the SPCA said, we have no idea what you're talking about. We have no idea. So there's a possibility that this alpha male, Dogman, killed off the male dogs and tried to breed with the female dogs. You kill off the males to leave the females for yourself. So there's a possibility this thing made it with the females. They knew it made it with the females, and they confiscated the females because they might be a hybrid. But the SPCA says, we never came to your property, we never took your dogs, we never received a report. So we have no idea what you're talking about. But he said when they came to confiscate the dogs, none of the vehicles were marked. They were all white vans where they confiscated the dogs. So this is a very interesting case, and he ended up moving, and he got out of the business of raising dogs because he lost so much money. But like I said, what they did to these dogs was just vicious. You know, I've never seen carnage on a body that I've seen what was done by these dogs, and it was by a bigger predator that did this. I mean, we found canine tracks that were much larger. That was next to the other canine tracks, and I mean, it was horrible. I mean, I remember breaking down after I was up there and did the investigation and took the pictures and stuff, because you know, I never seen anything like that except what I seen in combat. And it just totally blew my mind. It was frightening. Now this is a picture of a Dogman from the back. What's kind of interesting about this picture, this is also in Akron, which is about 4 miles south of where it happened. There was a young lady that was walking up on the upper trail. She said this thing stood up, looked at her. She said she thought it was a bear at first. And then she got a better look at it. She said, no, this thing was like a dog. And then you can see here, there's a dog right there that's being walked. The dog started to bark. This thing turned around and started to look at the dog. So she snapped the picture. But you can see this thing it's huge. Give you a better look there. You can see, you know, there's the head, the arms, the body, and that's the leg. Okay, some of you might have seen this. There's a video that came out in Akron, Ohio. There was this young woman, had her baby. She went to pick her friend up for lunch. They went over to the cemetery to go eat, and they saw this thing digging in a grave. So she ended up trying to drive up a little bit. I've got the video, it's not on here. It was just kind of too big to put on here, but I do have it if you guys want to see it. And this thing was digging in the grave, and you could see it. I mean, it's canine looking. It has high pointed ears. You can see right here. So I went up, did an investigation on it. I talked to the people that work at the cemetery. They said, listen, this is not the first time it's happened. This thing comes out of the woods and it starts digging in the graves. We don't know why. We have called the police and we have video of it, and every time we have video of it, we call the police. The Department of Natural Resources comes and it confiscates the video. So, and they said, we've seen this thing. They said it's a werewolf that is digging in these graves. So this is the grave. You can see where it dug. Now, there is a casket down in here. So in Ohio, I don't know how it is in other states, that if another family member dies, you can have the cremation part of buried with the body, but it has to be like 3 or 4 feet down. So it did not dig out what was there, but you can see here, this is, sorry. You can see right there after they replanted it. But yeah, they said this thing it's definitely, it's coming from these woods here, and this is right behind the cemetery. You can see where it comes right up and through there. And they described it. This thing's a werewolf. And the video is very interesting because you can see it very clearly. This very long fingers, it's digging, I mean, it's wicked. Okay, land between the lakes. I've been investigating land between the lakes since 1987. Okay, I've talked to 6 different law enforcement officers who stated that they were there at the massacre. Right, I'm sure everybody here knows about the massacre, correct? Okay. Now, the problem with this whole situation is that there are so many jurisdictions that were there. Not everybody got the story, I guess, correct. The problem is with the massacre, there is really no physical evidence that it actually occurred. It all started, the law enforcement was the one that brought the story to life. They're the ones that came forward saying this was actually what happened. Okay, so we know that there's definitely some type of large canine that is roaming the land between the lakes. So this is not an original photo, this is from our documentary that we did, but you'll see this picture floating around. I've seen it floated around a lot of times, people saying, yeah, here's proof that LBO exists. Here's one of the crime scene photos. That's not a crime scene photo, that was from our documentary. But part of the problem was, in my investigations, I've had officers tell me that, yes, it was an RV. No, it wasn't an RV. It was a mobile home that was pulled by a vehicle. Okay? there's a lot of different controversy that takes place depending on who you're talking with about the incident at LBO. So did it happen? Something happened there. Otherwise, the story wouldn't be where it is today. There wouldn't be so many witnesses. The good thing about LBL, like myself, Elijah, Barton, people who investigated, the story is basically the same. We talked about the same people. The stories are about the same. The officers are all telling the same story. So we know that something did happen. But again, there's zero physical evidence that it happened. But the thing of it is, you have to, human testimony, okay, when it comes to cryptozoology, ufology, paranormal, human testimony don't mean shit. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Okay, human testimony means something in a court when you're testifying and you're going to put somebody in jail. That's when it counts. But when someone says, yeah, this and this and this, yeah, did it happen? It probably did. They sound sincere, but you can't verify it. That's the thing. Now, I'm talking with an individual now who came forward. He says, I am the brother of the father that was killed. He's my big brother. I have death certificates to prove it. Okay? I have pictures to prove it. So he sent the information to me. So I'm not providing any of the information out because I have to verify it. The death certificates show that the family was killed by a bear. He says that's bullcrap. He said, we've seen this thing prior to the family being killed. We know that there's a creature there. We ran into it once before. So what I have to do is make sure that the death certificates are the correct death certificates. The coroner was the correct coroner. His signatures match. The other coroner's signatures match. Everything matches. Because there are so many people out there that's trying to profit off of land between the lakes. So you have to sit there and make sure that when you present something like that, it matches up. Here's the problem. From 1985 on, okay, in the state of Kentucky, and even in the state of Tennessee, that if you're a coroner, documents have to be put into the computer system. Prior to 1985, if you were a coroner, whatever document you had got to go home with you. That's your stuff. You didn't have to leave it for any other thing. If law enforcement wanted to reopen the case, they had to go back and talk to the former coroner. And he would have to go through his files at home and get the information. And that's how it works. So this incident happened in 1982. So if there's no documentation whatsoever, that can match up to these documents, I cannot prove it. Because these coroners probably don't exist. This is what, 40 years? So there's a possibility we'll never be able to find out the truth that these documents are actually the true documents. This is a track that we found on an investigation. It's a 3-toed track, very long, long toes. You can see first one, second one. Well, I'm sorry. First one, second one, third one, right here. This is from a trail cam. Now, this is kind of unique. We're not sure what the hell this is. Okay? You can see the legs, there's an arm, there's a head, and I have no idea what this is right here, but it looks like it is holding something up to his chest, like it's picking up something. Now you can see an ear right here, an ear here, a brow, the bottom part of the chin right here. So again, we're not sure what the hell this is. If this is a smaller Bigfoot, because they are Bigfoot at LBO, we do know that. The thing with LBO, what a lot of people don't realize, there's a road called 22 that separates it. All the Dogman sightings are on the north, all the Bigfoot sightings are on the south. And this happened to be in the north part of the land between the lakes. Here's another picture that was taken by one of our investigators. And this is just a close-up, it was kind of far in. You can see this thing sitting in the tree, looking at them, watching them. Well, they are big cats, pumas, that are in the LBL. So there's a possibility that that's what that could be. But there again, it could also be one of the creatures sitting in the tree observing. Everybody seen these? No one knows what they're there for. These bunkers are all around LBL. Some of them has doors, some of them don't have doors, no way to get in. And this is one of the biggest mysteries with Land Between the Lakes are these bunkers. Because no one knows what's there. We're here, myself, Bart Nutley, and a couple other guys were here. There's a trail that runs right here. A lot of single women were running up and down this trail, and we're trying to talk to them. Hey, have you guys ever seen anything? And when they find out there's a monster running around there, then then they start freaking out because they never heard about it. And it's like, really, everybody heard about Land Between the Lakes. But you'd be surprised, there's a lot of people that go jogging there that never knew anything about that. Okay, Glenn the Eyewitness. Glenn was a guy that contacted us. He worked for the Department of Fish and Wildlife in 1979. And Glenn witnessed on a fishing trip a Dogman kill 2 campers in front of his eyes. He witnessed this. And he's dying of cancer. You can see the poor guy's, a chain smoker. And we're interviewing him, and he's telling us a story. Now, in this story, he'll mention, sometimes he'll say fish and wildlife, fish and game. You have to understand, a lot of these old timers use fish and game. A lot. The younger guys are the ones using fish and wildlife. So he's telling his story of what happened. So I want to let you guys listen to this.
This is Glenn. He's going to give his deposition on a sighting that he's seen at Land Between the Lakes, and then we're going to ask a few questions. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. This all transpired in October of 1979, and I was on my regular fishing trip at 4:30 in the morning at LBL. And headed out to a nice little fog, beautiful morning out, and just enjoying the fishing like I normally do. And decided to head back in around 7:30. Just took it nice and slow, about 5 miles an hour, coming up my port side. And, or my port side to the beach area, or the land area. And so I was headed that way, and just noticed the campsite. And I noticed to the right of the campsite that there was a dark figure that I couldn't perceive what it was, outside the fact that it could have been anything at this point in time. And then it stood up. And the thing about it that shocked me is that when it stood up, it had it was covered with hair. It looked more like a dog, and it was standing on 2 legs. And then the 2 campers decided that they were coming out. Apparently, they heard me go by in the boat at a slow speed, and I kept yelling at them, over there, over there. I mean, I was literally screaming at them, and what they were doing is they were just waving back. And both the lady and the man were just waving back. And I'm watching this thing move closer to them, and then all of a sudden it attacked them. I mean, when I say attacked them, it attacked them and killed them. It was bad from my view even, and I was close enough to the shore. And the bad thing about it is that was it. I mean, I couldn't do anything. Hell, I was yelling my lungs out trying to get these people to turn around to see what was coming after them. and I couldn't get them to notice what was off to their left. And this whole thing scared the hell out of me. I peed my pants, and it was something that you don't ever want to live through. I had a tough time going through it again myself. I had a lot of bad dreams about it, the whole bit, and it's to this day, it still scares the hell out of me. And I just don't know, I don't know what to say, what to do, but there's no reports on this or anything else, so I just don't know what they've done with the records or anything else like that, and we're just desperately looking for answers at this point in time. And I'm dying of cancer, and the thing is, with that, this story needs to get out, and it needs to be done, and it needs to be done correctly, and put it in the hands of the right authorities. So that's where I'm standing right now, and this is what needs to happen. Let's put it that way. This is what needs to happen. I think you, sir, have some questions for me.
Yeah. You said one reason why you're coming with this story because you were an employee with the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife.
Absolutely, for 20 years.
And this happened your second year of employment.
Absolutely, October 1979.
And you never told anyone, any of your employers or anything about the story?
No, there was no reports whatsoever. And I basically got the idea that nobody wanted to hear about it anyway.
Now, back in 1979, this phenomenon, was it very well known among the Department of Fish and Wildlife in Kentucky? Did they know about something like this type creature, animal in that particular park?
My honest belief is that yes, they did, and they basically covered everything up, is what they did. There was no reports filed. There was actually no investigations involved. There was absolutely nothing there that justified two people being basically murdered in front of me. There was absolutely no justification whatsoever with any type of follow-through to what I had seen.
So let's get one thing straight. You were employed with the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, but you were not employed with Land Between the Lakes.
No, not at all.
Okay, but you were employed with the state of Kentucky. So what was your job with fishing game?
My job was to stock the lakes around the region. Your standard fish, bass, bluegill, catfish, trout, rainbow trout, especially. So yes, kept me busy.
You just went down to LBL to go fishing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just went down there basically to go fishing.
Right. So when you saw this creature, can you describe what it looked like?
It looked like some type of combination of a dog and a hyena and a lion, because when it first got up, it got into a prowl or attack mode like a lion would, and then it had ears like a dog or a hyena, and it sort of had legs like that, but it was hairy all over. The only thing I couldn't see were feet. It had human-type hands. It had somewhat hairy arms, but they're more human-looking. And then it had the pointy ears on the side. That's why I thought it was a dog initially. For some reason, it just came across to that. But when it got down to prowl and attack these people, I knew it right then and there. Hell, I pissed my pants. This thing scared the living crap out of me. It was god awful. Let's put it that way.
So when you, after this all took place, I mean, did you like turn your boat on and took off, or I mean, how do you get out from there?
I was in a state of basically numbness. I just drifted. God, I lost time on that. I drifted for what seems to be hours, but just drifted. I was in such a state of shock that I could not function mentally, physically. I couldn't do anything. It was that bad.
So after this incident happened, you looked in newspapers and things like that to see if there was any type of accidents, murders, or anything like that within like the weeks following this incident, and nothing showed up in the newspapers or anything. You haven't heard anything from like fellow, rangers or anything like that, or anything about that?
Absolutely not. Nothing. No knock on the doors. No nothing. It just wasn't. It was, I guess, found and shoved up underneath the paperwork. That's all I can figure out.
So what was one of the main reasons you felt you didn't want to come forward with this story? Because a lot of people are going to wonder why. I mean, you've seen something so horrendous. You saw people getting killed, and you didn't come and tell authorities.
Well, that's the main reason. I don't want any harm to my family or anything else like that. If this was a total cover-up, I mean, is that? I don't know how that justifies the answer, but that's exactly how I felt.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I can understand that, and the fact, they would probably think you were in that case, coming forward with that anyhow, and give the rest of you popular losing your job.
Absolutely. When you work for the State Wildlife Board down in Kentucky, you don't want to bring this to light, because yes, you will lose your job if there's some type of cover-up or some type of situation where they're shoving this under things so they keep their customers coming in back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With a lot of campers and things like that. If they get scared away, obviously you know what's going to happen. It's it's going to be your head, or and I couldn't afford to put the family through that or anything.
Mm-hmm. So you have cancer, and apparently the diagnosis don't look good.
Doesn't look good. Several months max. It's time to get the story out.
So this is basically your deathbed confession.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you coming forward and giving your story.
I appreciate you listening, because this is the first time we sat down. We discussed it with some of the members of the family and decided it was time.
If you give us the location of where this took place, so we're gonna go out and check that location out to see, check to see the location, verify the location.
Right, exactly.
And things.
I didn't just tell you exactly where the location was on tape here.
Right.
Don't want a whole lot of people over there and everything else.
For safety reasons and stuff, but you showed us where the exact location was.
Absolutely, yes, I
Where
showed you
it
all
took
where
place,
exactly where it was.
So, yeah, and thanks. All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate you very much, and thank you again.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now, Glenn died 2 weeks after this interview. We verified who he was. He showed us his retirement ID, documents, his LES forms for being paid, citations, things like that. He was a civilian employee with him. He was not law enforcement. His story, to me, is very incredible. It kind of matches up with a lot of these other stories that's coming out. This is the area that it happened. Okay, now right here, this particular road, there was a bridge right here in 1979. Just a small wooden bridge. Okay, you were able to go under. He was actually fishing this part here. Went under the bridge, came up here, came along the shoreline. This is the location where it happened. Now, this all here, the shoreline, the trees and everything was brought out further. Okay, we asked him about the area right before he died. He said, yeah, the trees were all out here. And you could see when you got onto, because there's a access road that leads back here that goes further up and you can get it. Now, about right this area on the access road, there's about an 8-foot berm that they put in there to cover up where you can no longer go in that area. They actually, you could see where basically they cut out everything. Where the whole tent, everything was just completely gutted. Now there is about a 2.5-foot drop right here before it goes on here. Now all this area was basically dug up and moved out. So like I said, this road here, since 1979, this road has been reconstructed 3 times. So it basically, the road changes every so often years they fix it. Like I said, I find the story very credible. Like I said, we can verify who he is, but we can only take what he's saying. I think he's very sincere. I think what he saw, he actually saw. But, like I said, we need more people like that coming forward. And it's very hard to get. Now, this is at Knob Creek. I'm kind of getting out of the area. I did a show a couple weeks ago called Mysteries Decoded, where we talked about the Kentucky Wolfman. And they tried to make everybody out to be crazy in that show. I mean, they're real nice to you and, making all this going to be cool. And then when the show aired, they try to make you out that you're a nutcase. So they had me out in this area. This is where we filmed. They told me meet them there at like 12:30 in the afternoon. They didn't show up to 9:30 that night. So I'm sitting out in this whole area from that time. So while I'm waiting for them, I decided that I'm going to go and walk around the area and see what I can see. Well, I had a large branch just literally thrown at me from this area right here. Now, you can see it's right there, okay? It was standing there. The minute I saw the tree branch, I looked over and I saw it hit the ground. So like I said, you can see the head right there lifting up, looking at me. So I zoomed in with my camera and was able to get this picture here. So you can see the tip of the nose, the snout, the bottom mouth there, the eyes are right here, here's the head, the body. So it's looking straight at me. This one's kind of blurred because he moved at the time. The next picture is quite different because whatever it was canine, and then it shifted to humanoid. Okay? What you're going to see is a human-like face with the eyes, and the hand is covering the mouth. Okay? This thing had ears in the snout, and then it went to a full human-style head. You can see the eyes, and this is the hand covering the mouth. You can see the shine from the skin from the forehead. I've never seen anything like this. This thing, to me, it literally, shift change from one looking type canine to something that wasn't canine. It's either that or the leaves and the ground is covering up the ears to where it looks more humanoid. So I gave them this information. I showed them right where we went. We went, looked at the spot. I said, here, this is proof from the area. They wouldn't even show this on the thing. The thing with networks, and I can't remember who was talking about that earlier about providing information to network or allow Blackburn. Well, they don't want to touch it and stuff. We did a contract with A&E, had information, had really good show stuff for a show. They didn't want to see any of it, none of it. You know, they wanted to do a show about Dogman. We gave them the information, pictures, audio, videos. When it got to them, they're like, no, we don't want to touch it, because they believe that you people cannot handle the truth, knowing that there's something out there that could cause bodily harm. And one of their things was, what are we going to do when one of these guys investigating this gets killed by one? We're liable for that. This is a thing, this is an apex predator. This thing can actually kill somebody doing an investigation. So the networks basically don't want to touch it. You know, networks believe you want to be entertained. No, you want to be scared. Because when they came to me, and even when Travel Channel came to us probably about 6 or 7 months ago, about doing a show with them, they're like, what's your expectations on the show? I said, clearly, scare the shit out of people. People want to be scared, they don't want the entertainment. What you want is a big guy like myself watching the show. Wife says, get the trash out before you go to bed. I grab the trash, I open the back door, turn the back light on, stand on the back porch, look left, look right, run, throw the stuff in the trash can, drop it all over the place, you know, and pick the stuff up and put back in and run into the house. That's what you want. That is what people want. They don't want to be entertained. Okay? But networks, they don't understand that. They can't. There's no money in there. When it comes to Dogman, their biggest fear is that somebody's going to get killed. And I can understand that. I'm just a couple more slides.
Oh, no, I'm not hurting you.
Oh, no, that's it. I'm done.
I'm bodyguard and Dogman.
Is there any questions or anything?
The enforcer.
What's that?
He said I'm the enforcer.
No. Yes, ma'am.
When you said the Dogman was digging up the grave,
Mhm.
was it a new grave or was it an older grave?
It was an older grave that was dug up to put the remains of someone that was
Cremated.
cremated. And so this thing was, like I said, I've got the video. You can see the video. You can see this thing as clear as day. It's really wicked, you know. So, yeah, anybody want to see it, I'll be happy to show it to you. Any other? Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering, the dogs you were talking about in the beginning that like some got hurt and some got killed, were they out running around in the woods? Or
No, all these dogs were in kennels. Yeah, how the kennel was set, okay, they're outside. They had all the chain link doors and everything in the front, and there was wood covering the back, okay? So this thing busted through the wood in the back to get in. So the videos that we got where we go and the owner, you can see where the thing busted into the wood. He would pull it open. We would go in and you see what was left of the dog, what it left there. So it only killed the males. It did not kill any of the females. And like I said, one of the theories, we believe the reason why it didn't kill the females because it was trying to mate with the females, and it was killing the males because it didn't want any other competition. Yes?
Did it kill all the male dogs at one time or over a course of
Over a course of time. Now, the one I showed you here was the one that survived. It ended up dying a few days after because of infection.
So if you knew that it was killing them, why didn't
Oh, he shot at it.
no, but why didn't you take the dogs and bring them in or do something else so they could get hurt?
Well, you know, I sat there and asked him about that, and he says, I can't give you an answer for that because other than, you know, this is where they belong. I was not expecting all this stuff to happen. And it's like, I would have went to the SPCA and rented out an area with them to keep the dogs in there and hired somebody to come in and kill this thing, if possible, or move, But when you're dealing with people that's their business, it's the money. That's what comes first. Lyle?
And just from curiosity, at NADP, how many credible witness reports do you get in a year? Just estimation, like how many are coming in at this point?
Okay, we get on an estimate on, say on a monthly, right now, about between 40 and 42 a month. Okay, so, within a year, close to 1,000 or over. And I mean, we're literally 3 months behind on just posting stuff on the website. So.
I would say there's at least 3,000 backlog.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we have stuff that we're still going through. We got a lot of pictures, some really good pictures and stuff. It's just we don't post them at the request of the people that they only want us to see them. So, all right, thank you guys.
Joedy Cook.